You're welcome back. This is Breakfast Daily, and something awesome happened yesterday. So the Citi FM Foundation yesterday, visited the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. That's the plastic surgery and burns unit, to visit children who are on admission, children who have to celebrate Christmas in their hospital beds. Don't forget that in our quotes for today, we're looking at not just the gift, but the giver of that special gift. And so we take it upon ourselves, to bring smiles to the faces of people who need it most and at critical times. And so we were there yesterday. Now take a look why it was necessary for us to visit these children.
My name is Kojo Ajman, a broadcast journalist with Citi FM and Citi TV. I entreat you to support a worthy cause. I need you to donate to the Citi FM Foundation. Your donation will help the foundation pay the medical bills of some patients who are on admission at the National Reconstructive Plastic Surgery and Burns Center of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. Your donation will make a huge difference in their lives. Your donation to the Citi FM Foundation will also help renovate a critical ward at the center, the Burns ward. This is why you should be a part of this worthy cause.
That's me. No, Saturday I'm a smart song to kuku. Until no fiano make him say, me banato, or your no mudi chipusin.
Or she say, you're dying, you're swallowing any digestion.
Ye kenya mi enhwe na keke crazy hwe he e wo mi ekpeman chase ni la mo gbeke ne bonsha
from adoko sibi me bansu de lodina adoko da e fe ku fodua e o shishia ye dying ye swallowing any digestion na ye fa no hospital omonji omonso omonti na.
In 2019, the Citi FM Foundation, through your generosity, paid the medical bills of Michael, Lodina, Shakira, Daniel, and many other children who were on admission at the Burns ward of the National Reconstructive Plastic Surgery and Burns Center of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital while we were all enjoying Christmas. We have come to you again to help put smiles on the faces of many more who must spend the festive season in their hospital beds at the Burns units.
Between January and November 2021, over 100 children were admitted at the National Reconstructive Plastic Surgery and Burns Center of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. It is sad to note that 1/3 of these children died because their parent or guardians did not get the needed financial support for their healing process.
Your widow's mite is more than enough to give these wonderful kids something to smile about at this critical moment of their lives.
Put a smile on the faces of kids or children on admission at this ward.
The story of 4-year-old Prince is heartbreaking and is one that needs your intervention.
Show me things here so in become I say actually Prince Ajime some. Woje tashi mobile. Ofine oat ni manwe. Wale bene fe ni sa oat ni fe hwe no. Yo te lek mam. Ya le na 24 ke ba kolebu. Bia ne we kolebu. Oat manwe. Wale bene fe ni shi oat ni fe hwe no. Wo te lek man. Ya le je na 24 ke ba kolebu.
Your friend Melinda, and I'm a banner, see a funny Calvin. Me free house nearby. And coin a shaguness. Na minua bi kitano, and I am coining to a sijaso. Inti no omu chem, and no opolie. Inti a colanator from, and I am coining some money goneso. Ya dinitina so you Best 1 minute, and a unico akawe, and almost see and brack level. It's done away a cafra. First, not on twin being any, but Cecilia or being any.
My family dear Jamana. My banny Joan Ponsa, Chumesi. Yati Abrekuma, or Lebo. Me school more Juma. Menudi anima a school for. They be a quam and bannacle class, na sad and Diana home fano. Nam so sad and the bowen maintain. Ain't no sin any cum, Namasaka or kitchen also. And I'm then out to so. Until my Adriana be beer, and a matcher and quino. I sing to baby and quine sin, baby on no one. A muchin cacala. Until no, Monsieur, me cock of far chancing. Mate, Nediana made the cat to tear my answer, and son of my first school for some major Mediani. Until me far chancing, no. Pen am tis and banny yedding. I come on so voice I know yedding, so I am say, who raw swallow no, so I may accommodate. Nti me twa mani pe na ese me ba na yeden atin kwan nim na me de ayam hihia me kekam sei me ba na dan kwan nim me ba na dan kwan nim na me de ayam hihia yi ni fi en kwan nim na me to na twene ye
Citi 1 year 6 months. Efikaswa obomurut. Say Thursday anapa. Meton asumade ne boxer ne hunyoma like ne madi sesi omo. Nti no edu anapa bia ya mekọ echi. Ti ebo be 9 na mabafi. Ti me bae no ye hono mu nsuo na ni nhya dante nti menua mu ansa na me de adware no. Ti me bae no na me be so crop wa abontin. Ti me so crop na nsuo ni sisu na me say we so wo inside oni ni nua 4 years e hye dem. E na me pie say me ko private aba. Ti me ko private ni me duru won pepepe me full steps me na me say crop na achia eni nsuo ni na achia na we nso eto nsuo ni. Ti ahono na metamu no na me de ne kogina pipe ano na me bu nsuo nwunu gu no susa na o hye top na me ji top no na me de ne rush ko am from polyclinic. Ti ho ye ko di 1 week na mo se ne mfi ha na mo se no akodi puntini afa ne mra ha se.
I'm Mrs. Mary Mensah, Deputy Chief Nursing Officer of National Reconstructive Plastic Surgery and Burns Unit. Currently, we are the Burns Unit, and we have 5 patients, 5 children on admission. 5 out of the 5, 3 are critically ill. From January 2021 to November ending, we had 107 children who came in with burns. either hot water, hot oil, or being electrocuted. Some go to the extent of leaving the charger on whilst they've not switched the plug off. And the children playing around sometimes put it in their mouth or they hold it and they get electrocuted. We tried our best, but we need the support of the general public.
Unfortunately, burns still continue to be a significant problem, especially among the children and among even adults. Slightly over 50% of the cases that we see at the burn center are children. And so these children get burnt from a variety of causes, from hot water, hot oil, matches or other flammable objects left unattended, and these children come into contact with them and they get burnt as a result. And so unfortunately, we would have liked to see a reduction in the numbers over the years because of some of the public education initiatives that we've been trying to undertake, but it looks like there's still a significant problem. So we cannot relent in the efforts to, provide education to our caregivers, especially those who look after young children.
The parents of the affected children are hopeful that their wards will fully recover, but the cost of medical care is draining them. They need your support to make this a reality.
Sikasem de nye yuzi bi kura na nwa yefe na wasa onsisa na nkra ma ye course sa she kramba wa ye surgery na wasa mumbie so but minya we bia amfani sin sikasem de nye yuzi
o ba bia na akwele ofiofio hawo ni chake mo fie ba mi bia na nyo kwa ke ya private ikwa ke ba nunu enu mo ke no fie anu shikale won bonyo mombo because mecho fanje kan ma wo besa ni wo hi okay ekola ko chombi na menu ye ke wa mo fi ka me wa wo ke ko len wo ku me wo then 50,000 to 1,002 ke
ya kole bia no ye ni kapa ha no ye ni kan even do ka se akomodena the obey your sign ma am the obey your sign no mba no ye ni kapa nti ehun ni say oda ho no enye ize mame mesre nya mese on san so nya dan ensi ni dadem said na ote na ya okay sem said ye on si ni dadem said na first na ote na no ana mesre fri nya me ho na ho so be den e be to no ye ba say Thursday be ni enya 1 month Thursday be ni enya 2 months tino e go say ye hwe nyame be say dem ogidie pan say de na ho aye den aton because me den ba na nya say na not here na dumi bi krampo no am say nka no kana me akasa me frɛ mo fa nche me na me akasa me frɛ say onye den onwu because you should do a brand am say makora we dey say otena sa onye den nya de obeye ya na obenya hoto bai nya de woni pa odwen na nya nsa na nya me ye den adwen ti no nya me waye bi de nya me ase say okrokro e ma be si 2 months say o di anima na de chana no on pene o de netina sa de sin anima no no atete na de ye den edi so di aduane bia de a metima ka say bia on peye oyobi on pe nsu aduane on petin on pe we bai aduane opepa ye kokunte benkunu nkunuma emutuo enemu nti no de yame ase so eti mekroko e ma be si by this time me ba ne die no esin ebi mu die ba o man tenase se radio boy na se yen ko sitin kwam se ya de yame ase se se yame anim na mehwe
sikasam die omusi yankoya laba yeniska ena endro ebi wa yebetumi ato ebi wa nso ayentumi nto me ya se omubebo ami na mintumi ya me labs ni nyina ena sa tama omube yi mi free and no omumbo ami na mintu amebe ono
the costs involved in taking care of burns cases are very, very high. Very, very high. Aside the cost too, we need a lot of logistics for these patients. We need bed sheets, we need pulse oximeters, thermometers, we need whey protein, a special food for feeding the children, because we need high calorie for them to improve or have their wounds heal fast. And we get it from this whey protein, which is very costly, and most of the mothers or the caretakers are not able to afford it because it's costly. And the cost involved, just as I said, is very high. And most of the children who get involved in these burns cases are, excuse me to say, from lower or social income. Therefore, caring for them is very, very difficult, and we need support from various organizations to help care for these children.
One of the issues with burns care, especially the severe ones, is the cost burden of care. You know, the cost is very, very huge, you know, because you have the cost of dressings, the cost of medications, the cost of surgical intervention, and for those who have very severe injuries that warrant intensive care admission, then the cost even escalates even further, because even one day in an ICU, you can spend more than 2,000 cedis on a patient. And so this becomes a very significant burden on the caregivers and on the facility, because once they come in, you cannot deny them care. And so we find that many of them at the end of their stay are unable to pay their bills, and therefore we are also in danger of running down the facilities. Health insurance does a little bit, but if you take, let's say, a typical patient who comes in with very severe burns, more than 30% of the body surface area, by the time that they will leave the hospital, they would have spent more than 25 to 30,000 cedis on their treatment. Unfortunately, health insurance only pays just around 1,000 cedis per patient. So you can see that there's a huge funding gap which must be filled somehow. And so many times it's left for patients and really to scrape around, and also the facility to do what it can to try and help these patients. What we've done, one of the initiatives that we have done in the unit, is to produce our own dressings in terms of the sterile dressings. So we buy the raw materials and then we process the dressings in-house. And so because we have our little, I would say, 1D, 1F within the facility, we are able to subsidize for some of those who can afford some of the cost of dresses, but it can only go so far. And many times there's still that gap that exists. And so, in the past, we've had to fall on benevolent organizations, including Citi FM, Citi Media, to come and support in terms of paying some of the bills, etc., etc.
Because you won't call me and so easy. Nancy Fran or from school communication. Never pants in a juma say, on your Juman pepper wins were happy and to know Shada and yes, Cabia. So, no, cause I'm a friend of crowd soon is going to continue for Miss Rennes. Yammy and Kana come announce me by Boakali.
Fine, I won't banify. Be an itch farming more low. You were best Hakudon or Papa and your with you.
And so I would like to appeal to anyone watching this program that burns are with us, and burns are unfortunate incidents that happen. It could be anybody. And so whilst you celebrate this Christmas, remember that we should not forget about those in society who need our help. And so in whatever little way we can contribute, remember those who are sick, remember the vulnerable, and let's all put in our little bit to support them and help to put a smile on their faces.
I'm talking to the general public that the children on these wards need your support financially. So whatever you can afford.
Yeah, so there you have it. This is the reason why we had to go there yesterday. And we really spent, a good amount of time there to just make sure that, they are taking care of what you helped us with. We took some money there paid some of the bills off, you know, gave the children a little party that they could also enjoy and have some sense of normalcy of Christmas, as it were. But we've been joined by Kojo Ajiman, who is the one that produced the documentary there, as well as Ness Mary Mensah, who you also saw in the documentary there. Good morning.
Good morning.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we went back there, you know, and talked to us about the need for us as a society to pay attention to what's happening, you know, in these spaces. Let me start from, because you work there every day. This is your daily reality. You see this all the time. All right. How important is it for, first of all, the intervention that Citi FM Foundation did, but then also for the larger society to get involved?
Okay. I want to take this opportunity once again to thank Citi Foundation for the love that was shown to these children yesterday. You really brought a smile to them, and it was a relief which will go a long way to help in their treatment. I'm saying it was a relief because these children face this trauma. Getting burned is very traumatic. Very, very traumatic. I myself is an example. I got burned when I was around 5 years.
Oh. Wow.
So even though it's far gone, I still have that.
What happened to you?
My mother was cooking, and you know, at that age we want to emulate our parents.
Yes.
So she went inside for something, and I took the fan. I was fanning it, and I was wearing a nightgown. I was the only girl, so it was when she gets any nice thing, she wants to buy it for me. So the nightie was inflammable.
Like silk?
So
The
I was,
the nylon
as I was
thing.
the nylon sort of, so as I was fanning it, it just caught fire. I didn't even get closer to the fire, but because of how inflammable it was, that was the cause of it.
Sorry about that.
What happened? What happened after that?
In fact, I can't remember.
Okay.
I can't remember. So when I see these children, I really put myself in their shoes. I empathize a lot. Getting back to the question that you asked, these children are relieved a lot by what was done yesterday, because as I said earlier on, it's very traumatic, and right after that incident they were brought to the hospital, a place not where they are used to.
Familiar to them.
They are not familiar, and every now and then they are having procedures upon procedures. Getting injection is not comfortable. The wound dressing is not comfortable. So they are somehow seeing the situation that they are in as being traumatized, which we are doing a lot of things to divert their attention from it. So yesterday, the party and the fun that they had and the love that you shown really relaxed them. And we could see smiles on their faces, especially one of the kids that we thought should go to bed and will get to. He said that he was resisting, and we could see that he was happier being
with
there
everybody
with
else.
everybody. So we are appealing to the general public that it shouldn't be only Citi Foundation. Others should emulate such, and it will help divert them from what they are going through. Work as a form of diversional therapy to them. Aside that too, there is an increase in the occurrence of these burns. Just from January to November, we had 107 cases. This morning when we were living there, and a fresh burn was...
Case.
But what's causing that anyway? Is it parental negligence? Is it, what exactly is the issue?
I would not say parental negligence, because no matter how a mother is that bond is there. That bond is there. So I would say most parents have to hustle a lot than they used to. And the stress in life, having divided attention, they have to do a lot at a time. And by the attention that is divided, their mind is taken off the child without an intention. And before they realize the harm has been caused.
Right. Kojo, so you were at the Benz unit in 2019 and you were there this year as well. You are a parent yourself, you know, going through, working on the documentary, visiting these children. How was the experience for you?
2019, I did it with you. I went there to some of the wards with you. And for me as a parent, the first thing that comes to mind is I ask myself, how did these kids get to the place? 2019, we met Shakira, we met Mary, we met Michael. And for instance, Michael's mother sent Michael to buy porridge across the street. And when the child got there, instead of him to concentrate on whatever he was buying, he played around where the oil, frying, where they were frying the donut and all those things, and he fell into the fire, the hot oil. Shakira's mother was hawking around Kaswa, and so she left Shakira to some attendants around the lorry park, and there's a eatery there, and the young girl was playing around it, and then her right and then left foot entered the fire.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah. Wow. One other girl, I actually met her after the documentary in Bongo, in the northern region. Yeah. So we're in Bongo filming a documentary, and I met the mother, and she called me out. So what are you guys doing here? So, I'm so and so's mother. I've forgotten the name. When I remember, I'll tell. The mother fell asleep after, the daily chores, going to the market to sell, and there was a candle. And the young girl was playing with it, and it caught fire. One of the curtains in the room, so from her knees down to her toes, her feet, completely burned. So now we need artificial limbs for her.
Wow. You know, so you have interacted with these mothers. You have seen the children. How important was our gesture yesterday? You know, how would you look at it?
From 3 points of view. So one, the medical bills are very, very expensive. Some even go as far as needing skin grafting and all that. Some are first degree, second degree, and third degree, and these things are very, very expensive. So medication, and then the after treatment, because you need a lot of protein in the system to heal quickly. Then after that, there's psychological trauma. Most of these children are always at the ward, going for medication and all that. In fact, yesterday we met one child who was, going through another procedure. They needed to do skin grafting, so they had to take off the bandage, and you could see the sore right from the shoulder level. Apologies to our viewers, from the shoulder level to the knee level, and she was screaming. That scar will be on the child's minds till the rest of their life. So such a gesture from Citi FM Foundation is key, because they need something to relax their minds, something to motivate them and tell them, hey, you are not in this alone. We are here with you. We are going to hold your hands till you go through the process. So for me, it's very, very important that we do this. In fact, we've been doing this over the years. It's very important. We went there yesterday, and of course, some of them have been watching. Those who are, the teenagers have been watching Citi TV a lot. They saw some of the personalities. They saw you, Kweku. They saw Frima. They saw Apioko. They saw Vivian. A lot of us. and they say, oh, is that Frima?
Yeah.
Is that Kweku? I mean, that sort of excitement really goes a long way to ease whatever pain they are going through. So I mean, it's very, very key.
Great. Auntie Mary, so when we approached you, you know, that we wanted to come and spend Christmas with you, how was this message for you?
It was a great joy because aside my nursing, I have psychology background, and I know how the mind controls the whole body, and I know if they are relaxed, the mind will be set, and that positive mindset will contribute to their healing. So I was so much happy, and we quickly send messages across to all the unit heads to all be receptive when we come. So we prepared for your coming, and we were.
And you know, it was interesting to have other children from other wards join in as well.
The cancer ward, the cancer ward. Albert. We're actually dancing together. He has a tumor. They've done the first surgery and is going to go on to do the second and then third. He was really happy. We gave him a gift. He ate and he was so happy. One little girl, Farida, I carried her and she was smiling, took the microphone from me. I mean, that kind of bond was, I mean, for me as a parent, I was really happy seeing them happy.
Because Father Christmas.
I was City Santa. I mean, so we gifted them a lot of things, and they were happy, and seeing people who they look up to, bonding also with them. Coming there and being I mean, it was a great joy, as Auntie said, for them yesterday, and we encourage a lot of such things, because at that early stage of their lives, and this happening to them. It's a great idea.
I also think about the fact that maybe somebody's there for a particular condition, but every single day they will hear screams and pain, and they're hearing what people are going through. That must leave a lasting impression on you.
That'd be very traumatic.
You know, it's just traumatizing.
And once the person stops screaming, he or she knows that I'm the nurse. Especially if they are due for dressing.
But Auntie Mary, break things down for us, okay? So when somebody comes on admission, like a child like that, how expensive is this? What do you go through, you know, as the hospital workers, as the parents, in terms of financial support, assistance? What exactly happens when somebody comes in there?
When someone comes in there, just as I said earlier on, treatment of burn is very costly.
Do we have an idea like how much are we looking at? So for instance, the kids who are on admission, you know, there was one child who's been bandaged all over. For such a child.
That's Joel. Okay. Joel's mother was telling me that her bill was around 5,200 Ghana cedis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's a caterer for a school around Awoshi. And on that day, the child didn't go to. Joel was not feeling well, so she took her to school, and
to work. You mean?
To work.
Yeah.
She took her to work, and laid a mat for her, for him, and she said she was going to do something quickly and come back. By the time she got back, Joel was in the hot soup. I mean, from the chin level straight down to the feet. 5,200 Ghana cedis. And you see, that is just for the treatment at the hospital.
Yeah.
Out of the hospital, they need to be checking in and out for dressing and all that. For the healing process too. There's one medicine you mentioned, the protein one.
Whey protein. It's a food. It's a special
diet for
high
them.
High protein food.
And if you are not careful and your son or daughter needs skin grafting, then you are running into tens of thousands.
Wow. Just one dressing alone, Joel, that we are talking of, will take between 500 cedis to 800.
Just one dressing.
Just one dressing. And they have to do it twice a week, or as often as it's wet. Anytime it's wet.
Or else infections will set in.
Auntie Mary, how do we get around this? Because you realize that often people who have these issues are those who cannot afford this. So how do we handle this? You know, I mean, for people like Citi FM Foundation, there's I mean, to a limit that we can do. I mean, this is what we did yesterday was how much we could do. I mean, pay for the cost of about 10 children or
another medical accessories.
Exactly. But there are hundreds of children. There are tens of children. What do we do as a nation? You have been there with them, you know, for a very long time. You are in that space. How do we get around this?
Education is key. Education is key.
Who?
Education to the public, through medias like this, the churches, the marketplaces, and we are appealing to the government that every market should have a crèche, like the one who fell into the soup like this, would have sent the child to the crèche without the child getting injured. So we need such facilities to prevent this, and we should be each other's keeper. Each other's keeper.
I mean, now the issue is everybody is hustling. Who is just keeping and watching out for who, you know?
But Frema, you see, you're hustling, bread and butter issues, but should that be at the cost of the life of your child? I mean, you should find a way to balance those two situations. Fine, it's good to engage in economic activities and bring money home and all that, but you should be able to balance that.
But Kojo, the question I want to ask is, sometimes how do you do that? You know, because we always see hawkers with their children at their back
and running
through traffic. You know, authorities are driving past. These people have no. I mean, for instance, your family is somewhere. You have traveled to Accra. You have traveled to Kumasi for greener pastures. You know, there's nobody to leave your child. These people cannot afford nannies.
It's a very difficult conversation to go through because you need to keep your family going and you have to hawk. But you see, as a parent, you should know certain boundaries you shouldn't cross.
Like what?
Like you are hawking along the motor, along, let's say, the Kaswa Tobut, and then someone in a car on the other side of the road calls you that, oh, I'm buying water, and you need to rush there. Hey, think twice and say, no, I'm not crossing the road to go and sell to that person. Let me work within my space, at least. So when you're hawking, for me, I think you should have your comfort zones and then your danger zones.
In fact, hawking is not even allowed in our country, but for challenges and difficulties, people have to do it.
Yes. So in your working environment and then the home, wherever you find yourself, and you are there with your kid, there should be your comfort zone and a danger zone. For example, in the traditional setting home, where you have the traditional stores and all those things, you should know that within this 3-meter range, I should not allow my child to crawl there.
But you know, Kojo, how do you?
No, I mean, it should be a conscious.
So for instance,
as a parent.
For instance, Joel's mother, you know, Joel is not well.
She says I'm dashing it.
So I'm going to get
she could have tucked her at their back on the cloth.
Exactly.
You see that?
Okay.
Or put her maybe on your shoulders and go and do whatever you're going to do.
So don't ever take your eyes.
Yes, that's the key thing. Because you know, children are at that stage are very, very adventurous
and curious.
They want to know. I'm sure Joel at that time, oh, I've seen my mother stir this soup. Let me go and do the same thing. And then the unfortunate happened. So as a parent, the first thing that should come to your mind is, no, I should have zones, comfort zones for my kids, danger zones for the kids. Whether you have a traditional home setting, a bougie home setting, and all that.
You speak like a very privileged.
That's what you are talking about. No, the zones. But it's Christmas time you are doing that. Your family is waiting. Ideally, you should be celebrating Christmas with your family. You shouldn't even be at work because that is how it's supposed to be. But are you able, you know, to do that? Sometimes I am a bit slow, you know, to back everything together and put the blame on parents, you know, because I think that fine, there are some parents who are extremely irresponsible, some who are very negligent, but sometimes, you know,
it's just the hustle. It's so tough.
Kojo, people's you see, Auntie Mary said something that when the mind is at rest, when the mind is settled, sometimes you are sitting here, but Kojo, your mind is in there, you know, because the kind of calculations you have to make you even forgot that you brought your phone here, you brought a shoe here. You know, people sit down and they even forget their handbags, things they came with. And these are people that when you look at them on the surface, you think they shouldn't have these issues.
So my point is that we as parents who are struggling to, put food on the table, we should just strike a balance to know where to take our kids and when to place them there. That's number one thing for me. And then number two, when the unfortunate happens, the first aid is key, is very critical to the survival of your kid. So for example, there are certain traditional methods that you should use. You don't just dip your son into a warm water or a temperate water. Just cool water will do. If you have aloe vera planted in your area, you can smear some on the child. But
all these things you are saying, who is educating who?
So
education. Do you get it? So for me, I think that it's a bigger conversation that we need to have as a nation. If we have to go into communities, you know, to educate people.
I don't know how often the fire service do this. I don't really know how often they do this.
Service,
I think
civic education,
you know, NADMO and all those state agencies. I think they should. It's time that we take it up to the communities and speak to parents. I mean, the middle class and then low income earning parents for them to understand it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kojo. So just as Kojo said,
we're going to take a short break. Okay. We'll come back and we want to take a look at the report from Citi Newsroom, the report on what happened yesterday. We'll take a short break. We'll take a look at that when we come back from the break, and then we'll continue the conversation.